you'll see so many websites like SaaS websites, technology websites in B2B are especially guilty of this. Like you go onto a SaaS website and it will say something like, we are the number one all-in-one turbocharged revenue generating platform for supercharged cash generating wizardry. And it's like, I have no idea what you guys actually do. I have no idea what you're going to try to sell me or the problem
Yeah.
you solve. And I'm totally confused.
I've talked a lot about the buyer's journey here on the podcast and how important it is to B2B growth. One big piece of the journey for B2B companies is their website. It's unmistakable. What kind of experience your buyers have on your website is very important, whether they'll stick or they'll move on. Today, my guest is Sam Dunning, founder at a company called Breaking B2B. And we're going to dive into how companies should be using their websites for growth. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Hey, Lee. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, it's exciting. So why don't we do this? Start off by just kind of telling us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, sure thing. So Sam Dunning, I'm founder of a company called Breaking B2B. Essentially, we work with usually slightly frustrated B2B tech service or SaaS companies that, in short, they might be a little tired of seeing competitors above them in organic search results on Google every time their prospects are searching for what they do, problems they fix, or maybe comparing them to different solutions, meaning they're missing out on mindshare, traffic, or inbound leads. Or we look at their website, maybe they already have a bit of an inbound machine, so they're doing some SEO, some paid media, maybe some outbound, some events. They're sending folks to the website, but the website's failing to resonate, convert or qualify, build trust, and actually turn all that traffic into a steady stream of the right kind of inbound demos or sales calls. So that's what we usually fix with a bit of an unusual approach.
I love it. And that's the part I want to talk to you about today. When the work that I do with Signal Media, we talk to our clients a lot about buyer's journey. And we have an acronym, ANCHOR, ANCRR, which is awareness, nurture, conversion, referrals, and retention. And so if we looked at that as kind of the entire buyer's journey, and you have your sales process kind of built in there as well, the website is central to all of those phases, right? If you want someone to refer you, they're going to send them to someone, they're going to look at your website, right? For retention, you have to have them come back to your website. And of course, all the other parts of the marketing funnel, it's important too. So I think this is an important conversation for companies who have the headspace to think about making, productive changes to their site. So let's jump into some of the areas where you have seen companies go wrong with their website. Lead us through the 7 deadly sins of B2B websites.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And I love that you said productive changes as well, because I feel so many B2B companies redesign their website for the sake of it. And we all know no one really enjoys a website redesign. It's a lot of stress, pain, aggravation. So if we can hopefully help some either founders or marketers tuning in, maybe not necessarily a whole rehaul or redesign, but hopefully make some, like we said, proactive differences that can move the needle, whether that's resonating, building trust, convert. So yeah, let's dive into it. First and foremost, probably one of my biggest frustrations with not just websites, but B2B marketing in general is totally neglecting customer research. And that's number one. And the reason that's probably the biggest killer of websites, from everything from design, content, messaging, and everything else. Reason being is we don't need to build the website for ourselves. We've probably got a whole warehouse full of our goods, endless supply of our software, endless supplies of our service. We don't need it to please ourselves or our exec team. We need it to resonate with our dream clients, our dream prospects, the folks that hopefully have the expensive problem we solve and are willing to part ways with their cash. So one of the best ways to fix that issue of neglecting customer research, because if you don't do it, the chances are that there might be messaging on your website that doesn't resonate, there might not be the right content, the design might not hit right. So a lot of the advice I give is quite simple. A lot of the questions I advise is quite straightforward, but sometimes that's the best way. So
that's right. Yeah.
My usual recommendation is, if you've got access to this, ideally for customer research, you want to interview about 7 clients. But in an ideal world, and I appreciate this is not always available for perhaps newer businesses or smaller companies, ideally, they're recently won clients. Reason being,
Mm-hmm.
recently won, they're not biased to you. If you pick
That's
customers that
right.
have been with you for years, they'll be like, oh yeah, Lee's great. I've been working for him for so long, like he can't do anything wrong. And it's like when you try to
Yeah.
dig deep and get that really inside intel, they might not give it to you just because they
Yep.
love you, basically, because they've been working with you for ages. So ideally recently won because they're sold, but they not have
Mm-hmm.
a huge bias. And then asking them kind of straightforward questions, like if we're linking it to the website, we might start with a bit general question like, what was the main problem that you had when you came to us? What was the impact that problem had on your life, your business, getting certain jobs done? What was the tipping point that where it got so frustrating that maybe it was costing you time, maybe it was costing you staff, maybe it was costing revenue, maybe it's just generally very annoying, or you're endlessly moving data from Excel to Google Suite because you needed this new CRM, whatever it is that's linked to your software. You want to ask them things like, what's most important to you when viewing a website in our sector? That's a really open, useful question. And they might
Mm-hmm.
say things like clearly understanding what you do, checking out pricing, checking out a demo, and
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. That's useful intel. If you've got a website already, one I love to ask is, what do you feel is missing on our current website? And again, you'll get some gold dust here. Like they might say straight away on your homepage, like, I didn't understand this, or on your pricing page, you didn't have pricing, or on your demo page, like I couldn't really play out the tool, whatever. Um, Also, another one that's good for general B2B marketing is things like, what made you decide to work with us as opposed
Right.
to other companies? And there's a few others, like you'll probably think of questions while I'm saying these. And the others, like, what were the 2 or 3 other vendors that you're evaluating whilst you were making that process? There's plenty
Yeah.
more you could ask, but those are quite impactful. And the reason we want to do this is it's going to inform our website messaging. It's going to inform some of the content and some of the headlines that we craft out. And what you want to do is, if you do have access to 7 recently won customers, if not, then maybe you can pick out 7 prospects that fit your ideal client profile, or maybe you have to go to slightly older clients. Once you've done it, ideally those conversations are recorded on Zoom or Teams or anything similar, and you pull the transcript. And what you want to look for is patterns. We want to look for patterns, the most common responses to each question, because when you do 3-4 interviews, you'll start noticing patterns in the
Mm-hmm.
responses, like what's missing on our current website. Your pricing page is unclear, or it doesn't have pricing, or
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping to see more under the bonnet of your product, or your
Yep.
contact form had 100 fields, it was annoying. Whatever it may be. So make a list of all those juicy intel. And the other thing you want to look out for when you're reviewing those responses is the way that prospects describe certain things. So if they're talking about a specific problem, like, I don't know, the problem that led to me reaching out to you specifically was I was getting tired of moving data from Excel to this other piece of software. And it's like, okay, everyone's saying they're getting tired of this. Maybe that's
Mm-hmm.
something we could use on our homepage. So
Yep.
basically plucking all these golden nuggets and then pulling them through to wherever you want to pull them through, to a Google Sheet, a Google Doc, whatever.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
love it.
first one.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. So what I would add to that is just kind of riffing off what you're saying is
sure.
surveying your recently lost prospects too, those accounts that didn't close. Sometimes you learn, even more different, like a different light about what they thought about you. If you can
Nice.
get them to talk, I think it's just as valuable.
Love it. Oh, definitely. Definitely. And then even like getting intel, like why they chose another agency or team or software provider, whatever it may be, and
Yeah.
getting those juicy insights for sure. For sure.
Yep.
So
That's good. Okay. Number
that's
one. I like
that's
it.
number
Get
one.
some feedback.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
huge one.
The only time I'd say this isn't relevant is if perhaps you're a bootstrap founder, it's
Mm-hmm.
your first website, and you need to throw out an MVP website, a minimum viable
Mm-hmm.
product website, quick. In which case, I'd say ignore me. You don't have time for this. Get a straightforward website rolling, because
Yeah.
I'd rather you focus on getting some revenue on the table and checking people
Sure.
actually want your product. But we're pretending that's not the case. So
Yep. Exactly.
step two is along the similar lines. So it's basically designing for ego. Like, you'll you'll see so many websites, like SaaS websites, technology websites, and B2B are especially guilty of this. Like, you go onto a SaaS website and it will say something like, "We are the number one all-in-one turbocharged revenue generating platform for supercharged cash generating wizardry." And it's like, I have no idea what you guys actually do. I have no idea what you're going to try to sell me or the problem
Yeah.
you solve. And I'm totally confused. And then I've scrolled down your website a bit more, and you've talked about recent awards won or recent funding gained, or maybe you've got some nice G2 badges for number one in a category that I'm not really sure what means.
Mm-hmm.
And what you can tell has happened is either the investors have got involved, so they've kind of pushed like, oh, we need to get an AI buzzword in our headline, or they've kind of thought, if we chuck in a load of awards, a load of designs, a load of
Mm-hmm.
logos won, then that's gonna kind of make us sound good. And if we just talk about how great we are or how great our product is, then everyone else is bound to believe the same. When we think about it, we're all quite selfish, especially when it comes to our buying habits. Like,
Yeah.
we're quite time short. Like, if we're evaluating vendors for software or services, we're not going to mess around on their homepage for 20 seconds to try and understand what they do. We want
Yeah.
to probably compare 3 or 4 options, quickly go on their homepage, and hopefully clearly understand exactly what they do,
Yeah.
exactly how they can help us, why we should consider them as their differentiator. And then if they check all those boxes, then we'll be encouraged to flick through to other pages like results, pricing, demo, and the rest of it. So putting your ego to one side and hopefully leveraging that customer research that we've gained in step one.
Yeah. Ego's a big one. And I see it a lot where, companies will, I just see it a lot with leadership where they'll get an award or they'll have a PR team go out and do something and they don't really know what to do with it. So part of it could be ego where they're saying, we want to look a certain way. The other part of it is, hey, we have this thing, give it to marketing and tell them to put it on our website, right? It's like, okay, well, maybe, and where?
Yeah. Exactly. And to kind of guide the audience of where these insights are from, it wasn't stuff I suddenly stumbled upon one day or thought was good.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Lee running a great B2B marketing podcast, I run a show as well called Breaking B2B, but I interview like SaaS marketing leaders, and usually I'll ask them a question at the end of each episode. I'll say, what is most important to you when viewing a website? And of those kind of 400 or so marketing leaders, most of them have said to me, I want to quickly land on a website, understand what you do, how it helps me, why I should choose you. Then I want to check out pricing. I want to see proof of some of the results. I want to get some quick answers to my questions or potential objections. And if you check all those boxes, then I want an easy way to schedule time with a salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
Don't want to go back and forth, jump over hoops to get the price. I want to know that all up front, clearly on your website, and then easily schedule that time or book that demo, whatever that relevant conversion point is, all while I'm on there, or let my exec team do it if I'm getting the data for them. So that's where a lot of these learnings come from.
I like it.
So that was number 2, designing for ego. Number 3 is on a similar vein. So it's unclear headlines, but not just headlines, unclear homepage headline, unclear messaging. And what I'd encourage you to do for this stage 3, is to basically pull those insights that we've got from our customer research. And there's a couple frameworks, for example, on the homepage headline I like to use. And these are quite good if you're just not sure what you should use as a homepage headline, or you feel like yours isn't clear. And one is just pure clarity, i.e. we do X that improves Y. I don't know, we provide CRM for small business that saves you time in Excel sheets, whatever it is. You can obviously think of one that's much better than that, but that's a very quick off the head example. Another platform is picking an enemy. I'm quite fond of picking an enemy in B2B marketing in general, not just websites. So that's what we did with our headline. So our headline is B2B SEO for revenue, not vanity. But that actually came from feedback from prospects, because on sales calls, we were basically hearing like, this website, the vendors are promising me loads of traffic, but on the back end, it's not converting to qualified leads.
Yeah.
So we like, how can we take a stance? How can we take a stand and add a bit of a differentiator, but at the same time, clearly kind of summarize what we're about and what we provide. So if there's something that you particularly hate that goes on in your industry, and then you can flip that on its head, i.e. we are for A, not for B, or something like that. That's quite a nice standpoint. And there's other ways that you can do that with value propositions, i.e., we fix this problem that drives this result. And there's quite a few options like that, but that's quite an important one, certainly for your website homepage headline to bear in mind.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, especially messaging. The way you say something, but the headline especially is going to be like the headline of a newspaper. It's like the subject line of an email. All this stuff matters, and it changes behavior. So the more dialed in you are to your customer, getting feedback from them, understanding, like you said, if they're constantly saying, "Hey, we were able to do this because it got rid of all these spreadsheets, saved us all this time," that's a pain point you want to call out in that headline. And the closer you can get, the more that customer is going to feel like you fit with them and they fit with you.
Yeah, and that's it. And like a common homepage headline or common homepage, flow is like you've got your hero area at the top of your banner. So you've got your
Mm-hmm.
headline that takes one of those positions. Then you've usually got trusted by X amount of brands or X amount of companies or something like that, with maybe a logo bar of some of your relevant logos. And there is a mistake that some companies make where they have their logo bar just above the fold before people scroll, is they put massive logos there, like really big logos of companies that they've just like one. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's not that great, because if your general market is SMB, but you've plastered with this with enterprise logos, it could actually
Uh-huh.
scare off the main ICP that you want to attract.
It's true.
So that's something to consider. And then usually as you scroll just below the fold, it might list like a couple problems that you might be facing. Like, are you tired of this? Are you frustrated with
Mm-hmm.
this issue? Is this causing you time and pain? And then it'll position like the main solutions you have to address those. And then maybe some social proof, like some client reviews, testimonial
Mm-hmm.
videos, and then probably your footer section with some CTAs. And that's quite a common homepage
Yeah.
flow that folks tend to follow.
Yeah. I like it though, because it goes back to customer research, getting the actual, pains and needs and desires, and then putting those forefront so that when they read those, there's a yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. Where have they been? Where has this company been all my life?
Yeah, it's it. I mean, one of my favorite books for learning the importance of that is actually not even in marketing. It's Gap Selling by someone called Keenan, and he talks about the importance of the gap between where your prospect is now and where they want to get to. And if there's no gap, there's no sale. And within that book, he builds something out called a problem identification chart, where you list the top three most expensive problems your ICP has. You list the impact of each one, and you list the root cause. And if, as a marketer or a business owner or founder, you can know those three most expensive problems, you can know the impact
Mm-hmm.
and you can know the root cause. Not only is that good for your website, that's gold dust for your marketing in general. It's going to inform your ads. It's going to help with email copy. It's going
Mm-hmm.
to help with videos, social. Like, it's so useful. Really, really good exercise.
So true.
Cool. So went on a bit of a ramble there. So I think we're up to number 4, which
I think
is
so. Yeah.
my most frustrating one, which is hiding pricing on websites. And usually software companies aren't too bad for this until you hit enterprise. Most are quite good. You usually have your traditional tiers, like low tier of our software, medium tier, like low tier, $20 a month, medium tier, $100 a month, and then enterprise, speak to sales. Fine.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's usually issues is B2B service companies. And the usual pushback I get straight away is, Sam, we can't put pricing on because everything we do is bespoke and customized. I said, okay, fully appreciate that. But are there buckets? Like, for example, let's say, I don't know, you provide some kind of custom software, for example. Is there a bucket like this kind of offer typically falls between 5 to 10K? This more advanced offering is 10 to 20K.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 50K plus enterprise level where they need to discuss with you for a custom quote. Fine. Can we at least give them a guideline? So if your website is driving a lot of traffic, it's getting a lot of inbounds, one, it's not going to frustrate your sales team with all these tire kickers that can never afford your offer.
Yeah. All they want to know is the price.
And two, you don't decipher value, your prospect does. So even if they do love your offer, or they love your sales team, which you might think they do, they determine value. So let them know the price first so they can self-qualify in or
That
self-qualify
is a
out. Like,
huge, huge piece of wisdom I think people need to, let's stop and say it again, that you are not the determiner of value in your customer's eye. Now you want to influence that value, but that is a huge piece that they determine the value. So whenever you're looking at that number, you're looking at it from a P&L standpoint. A lot of the times, what does this cost me, and what kind of profit can I make? And as it scales up, they're looking at it as, what does this cost me, but what value does it bring my business? And so one business to the next may think one value or another.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And the other thing you'll see is a few points to the pricing page. One, it hurts you as a small business because you might be trying to force leads at all cost by hiding price. And as a
Mm-hmm.
result, you get more form fills, or you get more demo requests, or you get more calls,
Mm-hmm.
but you're wasting loads of time. And thus you're actually annoying those prospects as well. They get a bad
That's
taste
right.
in their mouth because you forced a sales call. And the second is your pricing page, if you have one, is usually one of the most visited. It's often the second or third most visited page on your website after home, and then potentially about, pricing, case studies, results, demo page. They tend to be up there. Now, the thing is, your pricing page can be really powerful, not just for showing the price. Yeah, you want to show the price quickly, but to back it up and build trust. So you could say, look, this is our price. Then underneath, you might have some customer reviews, like a customer review video or two, saying the exact reason why they chose you over two or three other vendors in your space. Ideally,
Mm-hmm.
it's someone that's actually willing to talk about price and say, yeah, these guys were more expensive, but here's the
Mm-hmm.
reasons why I chose them. That would be awesome. Or worst case, a customer quote with a picture of them, their job title, and some kind of testimonial covering that.
Yeah.
And then my favorite piece of advice is an FAQ section, but not your standard generic FAQ section like, how does the process work? What does pricing mean? Actually ripping hard objections you get from sales calls, like, why are you guys so expensive compared to this other vendor? Do I get an account manager? What's your return? What's your refunds policy? Like, are you gonna palm me off to a junior account manager as soon as I close? Literally, the questions you're gonna get on sales calls, address them head on. It shows transparency,
Yep.
speeds up sales cycles, and helps your sales team, because this is a useful page for your sales team to send people and be proud of.
Yeah. I think that it's also a brand marker, showing honesty like that. It really builds up your brand in their eyes to see that this is very personalized, and feel, again, the fit, like they feel like they fit more so than the site that they just looked at before yours. That was everything generic.
Yeah, yeah, exactly it. So that's pricing. Really, really powerful page.
Yes.
Now, this is more of a general point. So number 5 is hiding the goods, which software companies love to do. And what I mean by hiding the goods is you have to book a demo is the only way to see the product.
Yeah.
And like I said, with my 400 or so interviews with marketing leaders, they want to see the product. They want to see under the hood. They want to see the offer. So if you can weave in, like, there's so many softwares now if you're SaaS that allow you to show at least a taster of your demo, like Navitech, Story Lane, bunch of others.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can do that, great. Failing that, maybe you can have some kind of several video insights so people can at least get a taster for it. Or worst case, you can weave in GIFs into the pages so people can see the aha moment of when, like, for example, if
Yeah.
your calendar scheduling software, they can see the aha moment where you click the date and time, boom, straight into your inbox, straight into the
Mm-hmm.
salesperson's inbox. That's the aha moment. But if you're a service company, it's a little bit more difficult, right? That's when you've got to get a bit more creative with showing under the bonnets. That might be awesome case study videos, client reviews, customer ratings, awesome aerial drone photography videos, or whatever. Get a bit creative with how can you give folks a taste for what your offer is like before they book that call.
Yeah.
Because they're going to ask for it on the call anyway.
Yeah.
Give it to them
It,
before.
yeah. So true. I've been on lots of, software websites, if we're calling it out specifically, and there's been a few that they've had a demo video that was 45 minutes long, and it's literally them taking you through the entire, not the entire product, but like a lot of it. And I sit there and watch the whole thing. By the end of it, if you're going to buy, you're going to buy from them because you feel like, again, you fit with them. There's a connection there. They showed you everything. There's no, really now it just comes down to your budget and timing.
It's almost making it like a lot of these feel like tactics to drive more MQLs or drive more leads or drive more
Hmm.
signups, but a very small percentage of them, from my experience anyway, actually convert on the back end into one revenue.
Yes.
And there's a reason that is, and most of it's transparency. So it's just ways to save your business time, basically, a lot of this stuff, and get more
Yeah.
of the right type of customers.
Yeah. And I think too, for B2B service, it can be done with content as well, where you give them an inside look into your company and sitting with a client, or, solving a certain problem or whatever it may be. Again, go back to the customer research, giving them the insight so they can kind of meet you before they meet you is critical for people to see. If what you're selling is a little more nuanced, then it's hard to, you don't want to give away trade secrets, or you don't want to walk them through the whole recipe. That's fine, but I think giving people some insight or certain transparency is key.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So we're at 6, I think,
Yeah.
which there's probably a bonus one I can throw in if we've got time, which is just a very simple one. But 6 is wall of text blogs. So nothing annoys me more these days than taking the time and effort to invest either your team's time or an agency or a contractor to build you out a blog, and then it's just you land on it and it's just like a massive wall of text. And as a prospect, if you see that, you're probably going to bounce within a couple seconds.
2 seconds.
So Hrefs and SEO tool, they're like the masters of this, making their articles product led. And if you're a service company, it doesn't necessarily need to be a product. It can be your offering or whatever is relevant. But basically making them more visual. So a lot of folks invest cash or resource to build out a blog, but then the design is poor and they just like totally skimp on the UX.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this could be quite a big traffic driver, and it could feel like blog articles can be crafted to rank at the top of funnel, like how to, middle funnel, like comparisons, or bottom of funnel, like best X software, best X service provider, whatever. Yet so many folks just make them walls of text and skimp out on the look and feel. So if
Yeah.
you can have a really, really nicely designed blog, and what I mean by that is it's nice and skimmable on a mobile, it's easy to view on PC, on tablet. It weaves in, depending on the topic you're talking about, relevant images of your product or customer quotes, or maybe you've got a YouTube video guide weaved in, or a podcast link. So when people are scrolling and getting visual aids, or they're referring it to your product, or they're linking back to the aha moment of your offer, all that kind of stuff, and then relevant call to actions. So like a really nice best practice on an article is to have like a fixed sidebar so people can flick through to different aspects of the blog and areas of the blog that they can, and then a fixed lead magnet if it's top funnel, like how to maybe sign up for my newsletter or get this relevant asset, or if it's a bottom of funnel but more closer to the buying kind of end of buying cycle, then it might be book a demo, book a call, and just simple stuff that can help a lot.
Yeah. It's tried and true kind of tactics. And I think on the sidebar too, a lot of times you can do categories, but if you could surface up to the top or prioritize at the top some of these key questions or concerns or things that you've pulled out of your research that people are going to want to look for and click on, whether they're looking at a top of the funnel blog or a bottom of the funnel, they're always going to be there. Those are always good to put there right at the eye level.
Yeah, you nailed it. It's basically, most of these tips are trying to think of your website as your best salesperson.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a landing page, okay, what topic are we talking about? How can we make this the most useful, helpful, educational, and trustworthy page to the end prospect, the end customer? Can we put FAQs of real questions they're going to ask and objections? Can we give them a guide video? Can we walk them through the process? Can we maybe qualify them, maybe share pricing, share when it's not a fit, when it is a fit? Can we do everything in their best interests to either repel them if they're not a fit, or guide them to the next step if they feel they are?
That's right.
A lot of this stuff, simple stuff, but rarely put into great practice. And then the last one, number 7, is along a similar vein as a lot of these are, is just completely ignoring SEO. So there's a lot of folks, especially at the time of recording, saying Google's dead, Search GPT's out.
Yeah.
Not quite. I mean, Search GPT is literally just out probably a week and a half at the time of recording this.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you compare Google's market share, you're comparing billions of queries per day to hundreds of millions So I don't think they're quite at Google's level yet. But the interesting thing about Search GPT is that they're great for conversational based searches, and they don't have the traditional blue links to trawl through. You don't have to mess around clicking through the pages. You don't have to mess around avoiding ads. So that is great. I'd say they're probably better for more technical literate users,
Sure.
whereas a lot of us might not sell to those folk. So Google is still a beast. Plenty
Yes.
of people still use Google,
Yes.
unless, ignore what I'm saying, if you're not in a known category. So if you're not in a category or selling an offer that people know exists, then this is not relevant. So if you're creating a new piece of software, a new service that's kind of proprietary, then ignore this. But if people are searching for what you do or how you help or the problem you solve or comparing you to alternative solutions, then Google's a beast to capture that demand and drive inbounds. And if you don't really follow some straightforward SEO best practices on your website, then you can miss out on a lot of that traffic and inbound.
That's right. Yeah. And I think, you know, the GPT or AI search is going to change pretty rapidly over time, but those changes will become noticeable enough for us to catch up with them and get on board with them. But I agree with you. As of right now, there's still a ton of people who don't even know what ChatGPT is. There's generational perspective you could take on it. There's just people that are still searching Google and Bing and that they're using it like they've always used it. They won't ever use it any different as long as they can. But I think ignoring SEO is a great one to end on. I've been kind of like wanting to get to this kind of funny enough the whole time because you were talking about wall of text blogs and making it more user friendly, essentially, building it for the reader, for the user. And really, I would say too, that your whole website should be built for the user. So building it around not only what they want to read, but what they want to see, how they want to, flow through the site, the UX of it, and then make it searchable. Then make it, do the things that you should do technically on the back end to make Google and Bing and hopefully, maybe in the future, the GPTs of the world search it, right? Your website does not need to be SEO'd. It needs to be humanized and, sort of assisted with the SEO. I think you can do both of those together. And I think if we look at what makes great SEO, it's still today Google looking for sort of authentic content that is created for authentic, actual humans. So you're kind of SEOing by making it relevant for the user to start with.
Yeah. It's a good point. I mean, Google literally rolled out a framework some time ago called EEAT, Experience, Expertise, Authority, and Trust. And those are the signals that they look for in the content that you craft. And a lot of what you just said is right. I think the only thing that a lot of folks fall into a bit of a trap with SEO is they think it's a one and done. So I still see it like folks, I'll say like, oh, are you considering SEO for the new website redesign? Or are you considering migrating like the URLs and the pages carefully? And they'll be like, it'll be okay. We've got Yoast plugin, or oh, I didn't know we had to transfer the URLs or something like that. And they kind of think it's like just one thing, like a tick box, SEO's done. And it's like,
yeah,
no, certainly
no.
not. Like, yes, you can do some simple quick wins, but it's a lot more thoughtful in terms of, yes, you can get great content, but you still need to consider URL, the page structure, a little bit of technical SEO, and you still need to make sure it hits what's called search intent and gives prospects what they're expecting on a Google search.
Exactly.
So there are some nuances to it that folks need to bear in mind.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, this has been a great interview. Thanks for coming on. I know when we started, you're like, hey, only 7. We got, I think I have 10 that we can walk through. So maybe we'll have you back and go through the other 3, or I'm sure by then, maybe even another 5. But I know this has been super helpful for everyone listening.
No, I appreciate it, Lee. Good fun.
If people want to find you, where should they go to find you?
Yeah, thank you. So there's 3 main ways. One is LinkedIn. So if you search Sam Dunning, I share ramblings on SEO and B2B website tips most days. Second is the Breaking B2B podcast, and that has interviews with marketing leaders for practical tips you can use today, as well as some solo episodes. And then the third one is if you're maybe listening to this and you're a bit frustrated that competitors keep showing up ahead of you on Google organic search, or your website isn't converting a steady flow of qualified inbounds, then breakingb2b.com. Happy to have a chat and see if we can help.
Love it. All right. This is great. Thanks, Sam.
Cheers.